there's another problem too, and that problem is that during the time of meditation, or during the time when one says Baba's prayers, or one is in Baba's tomb, or one is listening to Baba's stories, one's mind is not on Baba, but it roams around somewhere else. That's a very, very common problem with one and all, to some more and to some less. So naturally the guilt comes in, and some think that, well, what's the point in taking Baba's name? What's the point in meditating Baba's name? Since I can't meditate upon Baba, but I'm thinking of something else. There was one girl who said, well, when the aarti was being sung in Baba's tomb, when we were singing Gujarati aarti of Baba, so she told me that when the aarti was being sung, I was thinking of something. I couldn't concentrate upon Baba, and I felt so guilty about it. And like that, many instances. So there's one thing I will tell you what Baba said, and that will answer everything. There was one very intimate Baba lover, close ones of Baba lover from Bombay. She's a married woman. She has 2 grown-up children. The daughter was married, and the husband was dead. Of course, husband was dead after many years of marriage. She came in contact with Baba for many years, and she loved Baba very much. She had intense faith in Baba. But after some time, I think she was in her mid-50s at the time, she started getting very nasty, vulgar thoughts. She was a very sweet woman. Very, very, very sweet. I mean, one would never expect that such thoughts would go into her head. And the thoughts she never had those thoughts before. And she started getting those thoughts. She started getting dreams that went on for months. And she became crazy. She didn't know what to do. Then she told me, what should she do? I said, the only thing that you can do is to take Baba's name, because that is the only thing that will help you. She said, she has taken Baba's name all the time. She was thinking of Baba more and more intensely, and yet that doesn't help her. That didn't help her. Well, I said, there's nothing else you can do about it. Still continue taking Baba's name. And the poor woman suffered for nearly 6 to 8 months. And then Baba came to Bombay. When he used to come to Bombay, sometimes he used to give darshan to the near ones, and sometimes he would just come to Bombay and do his work, whatever he wanted to do, contact masks, and go away. But on that particular stay of Baba in Bombay, he let a few very near ones come for his darshan. And that lady was one of the lovers, one of Baba lovers, who also came on that day. Baba was in the mood, or maybe, everyone had something to say, and so Baba one day called everyone in the afternoon, and he kept them all in the inside room of my apartment and called one by one in the sitting room where Baba was sitting on the couch. And Baba made me also sit there, because they were all very near ones, and whenever they had their difficulties, they would all come to me and ask me. So naturally Baba knew about that, and Baba said, you sit here only. So I was sitting there when one by one came. When that lady came in the room, Baba asked her, have you anything to tell me? And the poor woman was so overwhelmed that she couldn't say anything, but she just cried like a baby. And Baba let her cry. Then she told her difficulty to Baba, that she was getting nasty thoughts, vulgar thoughts, funny thoughts. She couldn't even describe those thoughts. Baba let her talk for a few minutes. And then Baba embraced her and told her not to worry. Baba said, let the thoughts come. You don't fight them, because you will not be able to do anything about it. But you just go on repeating my name as many times as you can. Repeat my name more when those thoughts come to you. Because taking my name is like a mosquito curtain. You know what is a mosquito curtain? Here in India, there's so many mosquito curtain, because naturally if you don't have, here, you have experience that in Nagar, if you don't have mosquito curtain, you can't sleep. The mosquitoes will bite you. So Baba said that repeating my name is like a mosquito curtain. The mosquitoes will the thoughts will buzz outside, but they won't touch you. Like the mosquitoes, they go on buzzing outside the mosquito curtain, but they won't sting you. In the same way, repeating my name is like a mosquito curtain. The thoughts will remain outside, but they won't hurt you. They won't harm you. So this is what Baba said. And it has impressed me so much, because this is what has helped so many later. Whenever anyone came with that problem of not thinking of Baba at the time of repeating his name, I said, don't worry, Baba has said this. You just go on repeating Baba's name. So even at the time of serious thinking of Baba, or prayers, or singing his aarti, you think of other things. Don't worry. Try to concentrate upon Baba. But then you go on in any form thinking of Baba. Because one may feel that, well, what's the point in repeating Baba's name when I can't concentrate upon Baba? Or what's the point in meditating upon Baba when I can't think of Baba? Still do it. Still go on repeating his name. In fact, more and more. Because Baba himself has explained so beautifully. Baba's ways are such that he doesn't allow any suppression. We have unconscious mind, and there are so many things lying dormant there, of which we ourselves are not aware of. But they come out in some form or the other. And when there are psychological problems, one goes to a psychiatrist or a psychologist to solve the problem, and the psychologist brings out the inner self. So in the same way, there are so many things that's lying deep inside us, and maybe that's my idea of interpretation. It's not what Baba has said, remember. What I feel and what I think is that Baba never allows anything to lie down inside us. So he brings it out in some form or the other. And maybe when we are taking his name or thinking of him, Baba takes the opportunity of bringing out our inner problems or inner things or inner thoughts on the surface and throws them out. And Baba's name helps us, because to bring out our inner self, there should be an outlet. Suppose I have a very hot-tempered nature, then my anger comes out on someone or the other. But Baba doesn't like anger to come out. In the sense that anger should come out. But Baba says, let the thoughts come, but don't put into practice. So if we get angry on someone else, that means we have put that thing into action. So maybe to tone us down, when we take Baba's name, Baba brings that thing on the surface in some other way and throws it out. This is what I think. This is my explanation. There was a time when Baba wanted us to meditate for half an hour in the ashram and outside the ashram. Those who stayed in the ashram, also there was a fixed time. At that time there were about 35 women, Easterners and Westerners, and they were all staying at MeherBabaLibrary. So a bell would ring and everyone would be ready within 5 minutes, would take their respective places and meditate upon Baba for half an hour. And then there would be a second bell and then everyone would get up. So that was how it was. Now again the same problem was with most of them. Most of the, even in the ashram I'm talking about, most of the women also had the same problem. So for some time they bore it up, and then one day it came out from one of the inmates. Baba, it's really very funny. I'm busy all day long and I can't think of anything. But when I sit and meditate upon you, I think of Hitler and Mussolini, because at that time the war was going on. I mean, during the daytime I wouldn't even think of them. But when I sit and meditate, I think of those silly leaders, Mussolini and Hitler, and I don't know what to, I can't control them. I can't control my thoughts. Baba would just smile and say, don't worry. It's like that. But then, at that time, they were thinking of such funny thoughts. I mean, thoughts which had no concern with one's personal self. And yet, like that I talked about that lady. I mean, she was such a sweet lady, such a loving lady. I would call her a pious lady because she led her life, she devoted her life to God. And when she came in contact with Baba, and she devoted herself to Baba, and then to her husband and children, and one would not even dream that she could ever have those nasty thoughts. And they started coming to her. And mind you, even after Baba embracing her and telling her not to worry, the thoughts continued for nearly 2 more years. There are some who just say that God does everything. So whatever we do and all our actions is because God wanted us to do those actions. So we naturally put the whole thing on God. I mean, God means Baba, that like one boy who said that, if I take drugs, I want to love Baba and I want to take drugs as well. Because what I feel is that it is Baba who wants me to take drugs. I can't stop taking drugs. So naturally it is Baba's will that I should take drugs, because I can't help myself. So there have been many such questions, that whatever God does, I mean everything happens according to God's wish and will. And of course Baba has said that everything is done according to my wish and will. And he has also said that not a leaf can move without my wish and will. So some do misunderstand. Misunderstand in this way that as far as they say that everything is God's wish and will is right. But then Baba has also said that hold on to my Dharma. Do what I say. Have faith in me. Surrender to me. Why would he say all these things? If it was only God's wish and will. So once Baba was sitting in a small group and he was in a good mood. And somebody brought a jar, a big plastic jar of sweets. So Baba took that jar and kept that jar on his lap. And he opened the jar. And he gave sweets to all, distributed sweets to all. And then the jar was empty. then he was explaining something. That reference I don't remember, but then he said, he opened the lid. That was the red lid of the jar. So he opened the lid. Then he said, to open the lid is in your hands. To fill in the jar is in my hands. So you see, when God-man is in physical body, he wants us to give our hand in his hand. If we just stand straight, not lifting our hand, and we want Baba to help us, Baba said, I cannot help you. You must give your hand in my hand. So we must extend our hand halfway, and then Baba takes our hand and takes us along wherever he wants to take us. He wants to help us move. Otherwise we go on our destiny way. Destiny is there. I mean, the world is run on destiny. Everyone has their own destinies. So what is the purpose in God-man taking the physical form? There should be a purpose. And the purpose is that he wants his close ones to take on a short route, on a shortcut. But we go on our destiny way. So how can we go on a shortcut? But he knows it. So if we give our hand in his hand, he takes us. Of the lover from Dehradun, Shatrughan Kumar, he also stayed with Baba many a times in ashram. And when Baba was in New Life and when he went to Dehradun, Shatrughan Kumar met Baba. And he was an atheist. He didn't believe in God. And when he met Baba, he just couldn't help saying, Baba, Khuda Baba. His mother always used to say that I was so surprised when my son was so enamored by a master. So she was wondering who that man must be. So she also came along and the wife also came along. The whole family. It's a wonderful family. But this girl, Amrit, was just a small baby. So they thought that it was this baby. Baby was lucky that she brought them to Baba. And years later, Baba thought of her as the bride of his nephew Dara, Baba's nephew Dara. So it was Baba who arranged the marriage. I mean, the boy and the girl did not find each other, but it was Baba who found the girl for the boy and the boy for the girl. So he arranged the marriage in December. And the day was fixed. So there were 2 days. On the first day, that was on 22nd December, Mehra's birthday was celebrated. And on 23rd, Dara's wedding was celebrated. I mean, there wasn't any celebration, but I'll tell you what I mean by celebration. Well, Baba called about 200 very intimate ones for those 2 days. For Mehra's birthday and the wedding of Dara and Amrit and the Naujot ceremony of 4 children. Do you know what is Naujot ceremony? No. In our Zoroastrians, when children, boys or girls, when they come of age, say between 7 and 10, their Naujot ceremony takes place. The priest performs the ceremony. He puts on the sadra. Baba wears a long sadra, but we Zoroastrians wear short sadra. So the priest puts on the sadra on the child, chanting prayers. And there's a kasti, that's a thread-like thing, wound around the waist. It goes from the front to the back, again from the front, again to the front. It's knotted in front and again knotted at the back. So that's a great ceremony, like the wedding ceremony. And so many people are called. So naturally it was a ceremony. And we intimate Baba lovers did not believe in this ceremony of Naujot. from what we experience and learn from Baba. But children have to face the world. Naturally, other children would ask, did your Navjot take place? And if the child said no, then naturally the child would be ridiculed. So Baba was so practical. So in order to make easy for children, Baba used to perform the ceremony of Navjot, but not the regular ceremony. So the 200 were congregated on those 2 days because the family of those 4 children whose Navjot ceremony was performed by Baba, then the family of the bride, bridegroom, and very, very intimate lovers of Baba. So in all there were about 200. So on 22nd was Mehra's birthday, and people of course stayed in Nagar, Ahmednagar, in the guest house, and they all came in the morning. And Baba was brought in onto the veranda from his bedroom. Baba's condition was so low, he was so weak that he couldn't even get up. He couldn't get up from the bed. 4 to 6 persons had to lift him just to make him sit up. And the same way he was helped to lie down again. So his condition was such even on that day. So he was made to sit up and gently put on the wheelchair. And the wheelchair was taken on the veranda, on the front veranda of the main bungalow. There is a movie also. You must have seen, I don't know whether you have. And Baba was just sitting there on the veranda. And the congregation of 200 people were sitting in the garden in front of Baba. And the first thing was that there was a big cake, birthday cake for Mehra. So it was brought on the stage on a trolley. And as I brought the trolley in front of Baba, we all sang happy birthday to Mehra. And Baba touched that cake. And then after about 15 minutes or so, Baba called the bride and the bridegroom. They were not married because the marriage was to be taken place the next day. So Baba called Dara and Amrit, and he gave them both the ring. And Amrit and Dara put the ring on each other's fingers. And that's how they were engaged. They put on the garland on Baba's neck and embraced Baba. Amrit embraced Baba, then Dara embraced Baba. Now I exactly forget because it's the Navjot ceremony was taken on that day or the next day. But I think it was on that day. Yes, that's right. Then after about 15 minutes or so, the 4 children were brought in front of Baba, whose Navjot ceremony was to take place. And their parents, the parents of each child, were standing behind the children. And Baba gave each child the sadra and kusti in their hands. Means Baba took one sadra and kusti and gave it in the hands of one child, then to the second child, then to the third child, like that. And then he embraced them all, one by one. And then he told their parents to go inside in the room and put on the sadra and kusti. And that's really very funny, because this is a big ceremony according to our Zoroastrian religion. I mean, a priest performs a ceremony, whereas this is just for the child to say, well, my Navjot is performed, that's all. So the parents went inside, put the sadra and kusti, and they were dressed, and again brought in front of Baba. And each child gave a garland to Baba, and Baba embraced each child. And that's how the Navjot ceremony was performed by Baba. So now you understand the difference between this ceremony. It wasn't a ceremony, it was just that the children could say. And it's very amazing, but even today's children don't pay much attention to these ceremonies and sadra and kusti. Yes, it's like that after the Navjot is taken place, every child must wear sadra and kusti till they die. But here Baba's children, you see, they use that kusti as a rope to play with. I mean, there are very funny incidents how children have reacted. But at that time, Baba was in... I mean, it showed on Baba the weak health and the depressing mood that he was in. Because then those who were present there felt Baba's mood, and they all said that they all felt very sad. I mean, whenever anyone would come to Baba, one would feel very happy to be with Baba. But on those 2 days, those who were there felt very sad, very, very sad. And of course, before they came here, Baba told them all that nobody should take Baba's darshan, or that Baba would not embrace them, that they should just sit and have a look at Baba. But again, Baba in his compassion allowed each one to pass by him. I mean, he didn't want anyone to embrace him or touch his feet or touch his hand, but each one passed by in front of Baba with folded hands. And then at that time, Baba said one or two things, and the indication of what was to come. The one thing he said was, he just said, you all are very lucky that you are here today in front of me, because in Pune, during the darshan time, you all will not be able to see me like this. He made the gesture from head to foot, meaning his physical body. But naturally, at that time, we thought that there will be such a rush of Baba lovers from all over the world that naturally the intimate ones would be pushed back. I mean, they thought that they would not get such a close glimpse of Baba as they did on those 2 days. So that's what everyone thought, because what else can one think about? Then another thing that he said was that the time is very near. He went on repeating that more than once. The time has come. Of course, we didn't know what he meant, but it was really very near, because it was 1.5 months later that he dropped his body. I mean, we realize the meaning of those two words, two things that he said, that time has come and that in Pune you won't be able to see me like this. He even said, not on those 2 days, but then he was with the Mandali. We were all very worried about his health, and we just didn't know how he would be able to give darshan in May. He was so weak in health that we just could not understand how he will be able to give the darshan in May. So one after the other started suggesting to Baba, why not postpone, Baba? Why not postpone the darshan program in Pune? And Baba said, emphatically used to go on repeating, no, that darshan program must take place and will take place. So naturally, in the concern all around him, the Mandali, Eret and Mani and Mehra and especially Gauhar would say, but Baba, how will you be able to give darshan? It's impossible. And Baba said, it will be very easy. You will see. It will be very easy. Then at other time he was just discussing with Mandali and he was just asking the opinion of others. Well, what if I give darshan lying down, reclining on the bed or on the sofa? Will that be all right? And Francis and Eresh and Pendu and Nariman, they were all there, and they said, yes, Baba, it's all right. Even if you recline and even if you lie down, it would be all right. People will be too happy to take your darshan. Darshan is important. So like that, when he dropped his body, he was lying down in the crypt of the tomb, and we realized those words. Because thousands came and took darshan of Baba during those 7 days, from 31st January to 7th February. And 7th February was the day when, according to Zoroastrian calendar, it was Baba's birthday. Zoroastrian calendar is quite different from this English calendar. I'll tell you how it's different. Every 4 years, the English calendar has a leap year, 29 days in February, whereas we don't have that leap year. So we miss 1 day every 4 years. So we are born on a day according to English and Zoroastrian calendar. But every 4 years, according to Zoroastrian calendar, our birthday goes backward. So Baba's birth date is 25th February, but according to Zoroastrian religion, in 1969, Baba's birthday was on 7th February. For the worst. 18th or 19th. Not that. You see, I have a letter. You see, I've kept certain letters that used to come from Narasat, only with the idea that I could write down certain incidents, important incidents. And in that letter, the exact date, I think it is 19th of November. It took a sudden turn for the worst. Because when we came in October, Baba was in a very good mood. I mean, he was weak, no doubt, but he was in a very good mood. He was more sprightly, full of joy. I mean, it's quite different in October. And suddenly in November, he took that turn. There was another incident that happened. He used to get worse and worse and worse and worse, and Gauri used to get so worried, and she used to plead to Baba, please Baba, why don't you come to Pune so that the investigation can take place? Because he stopped eating. Take care, Anush. Because he stopped eating, and he was complaining all the time of something or the other. So Gauri said, Baba, we can take you to Pune for investigation. And everything was arranged. Ambulance and Guru Prasad was kept ready and all that. And then after all the arrangements were made, Erech and Gauhar pleaded with Baba to go to Pune. And Baba emphatically said no. No, I won't go to Pune. I know what I am doing. Then Baba told us, Baba said that if you want me to drop my body, then you can take me to Pune. And naturally when Baba uttered those words, everyone were helpless. I was there and Rana was reading the Time magazine. She was reading the Time magazine, and he would just tell me to either press his hands, arms or legs. And he used to get those terrible jerks. See, the jerks he used to get, and at that time when I felt, I can feel that he's getting those jerks, and I would just press that part so tight, so very tight. And he would be so restless. He would call Kaveh, and he would tell Kaveh, Kaveh, I'm feeling very bad inside. And he would say so many things to Kaveh, and Kaveh would just stand there, sit there helpless. Baba, you are God. You have so much to do. You have to manifest yourself. You have to break silence. You have to speak. Baba, why do you say all these things? I mean, I don't want to say what he said. Why do you say all these things? I can't do anything for you. You just now tell me what I should do. What treatment I should give you. I have no treatment. I am so helpless. I mean, those scenes was so pathetic, really. Then what happened once I was alone with Baba at about the same time, between 11 and 1, Rano and I used to be there. If I was not there, someone else would be there. But since I was here in Meherabad, he would always call me to press his body. So I was just massaging his legs one day, sitting on the stool, and he was on his back, lying down. And as I was pressing his legs, suddenly there was such a jerk that my hands flew. When I was massaging his leg, I was holding his leg, and the jerk was so strong in its intensity that his leg flew and my hands flew like this. And I just didn't know what was happening. I just said, Baba. And Baba just looked straight into me. Just didn't say anything, just looked straight into my eyes. But that eyes were so meaningful. I felt he wanted to say something to me. I mean, what I didn't understand, but I knew there was something. And when he dropped his body, it was just one jerk. It was the jerk. It was the jerks that he used to, the spasms. Actually, the spasms are the right word, not the jerks. Because you see, why I say jerk is because you see that part of his body used to just fly with a jerk. But it was the spasm that used to make him fly that part, either his hands or leg. And there was a spasm that made him drop his body. That was the last thing. I mean, it just was something there. After he dropped his body, many days, suddenly I realized what he meant. I mean, I remember that scene. Baba looking straight into my eyes, telling me something. So you know what I felt at the time? I felt that Baba wanted to convey, this is my feeling, I mean, Baba wanted to convey that just in one, there will be a spasm, and in this just one jerk, a strong jerk, I will drop my body. That's what I felt. Because I was not here present. I mean, internally we just felt out crying all the time. Tears didn't come out of our eyes. Of course it did in private, but then we felt so restless, so restless. Because of Baba's helpless condition, day in and day out, from morning till night and night to morning. I mean, we can't imagine the terrible suffering that he must have gone through. Of course, this stage of Baba's suffering, in its intensity, started ever since the beginning of new life. Before the new life, it didn't show on his physical body. The suffering that he must have suffered did not show much physically. But ever since new life, one ailment after another, one thing after another went on happening. In 1952, before the accident, he was very restless. A couple of months before. He wanted to make that trip for sure to the States in 1952. But then after the accident we realized why he was so restless. He came to Bombay 18 days before his plane was to take off from Bombay airport. And I myself was just wondering why he came so early. But then we always, of course, don't understand why he does a certain thing. Because actually whenever he left for the States or any other place, he would come for a couple of days early or just 3-4 days early. But he came 18 days before. And for a week he stayed at our apartment, and then he wanted to go somewhere else. So he told Nariman, Meherji and others to find a place for him where he could go and stay, where he could rest better. That's what he said, he could rest better, because he didn't want to stay in Ashiana. Ashiana is the name of our apartment. So with frantic search, naturally it was very difficult to find a place during these, during these days, especially after the Second World War. It was very difficult. So they found an apartment in Bandra, where there is a big church of Mary. It's called Mount Mary Church. There's a story that the statue of Mary with the child in her hand was found by a fisherman in the sea. And that fisherman did not know that it was Mary's statue. And ever since he kept that statue in that small hut, he used to prosper a lot. Somehow everyone came to know about his statue, and one priest went to his hut to see, and he knew that it was Virgin Mary and Jesus' child. So with great persuasion, he took that statue from him and built a big church over that statue. And every year, people go to that church. There's one week especially. It's a sort of a festival week for that church, and people go and they have such faith that whatever they wanted, they should just go and ask in that church, and it was fulfilled. I mean, it's the faith that does the work. But it's supposed to be a very important church in Bombay, and that's in suburbs of Bombay, not actually in the city itself. So this place, this apartment that I'm talking about, was found near that church. That place is called Bandra. Mera, Mani, Gauhar, Meru and myself went to stay in that apartment because it was a very small apartment, and others were kept in my house. In the evening, Baba went to bed early. He retired. He didn't go to sleep, but he retired early. And that apartment was right on the road and very noisy. And Baba was very restless, and he told Gauhar that he can't sleep in that room, and he wanted to shift in the other room. That apartment was very small. It had only 3 small rooms and a porch in front. It was on the first floor. So Baba's bed was shifted from one room to the porch. So it took about half an hour, because actually his bed was to be removed from one room to the other. Well, even there he was very restless, and after about half an hour or so, again he called Gauhar and said, "Well, I can't sleep here, it's too noisy. Shift me to the other room." So in the second room, we all were sleeping. So we all shifted our bedding rolls from that room to the other room, and Baba's bed was again shifted from the porch to the room we were sleeping. Again, Baba called Gauhar and said, "Well, he doesn't like in this room, he's very restless and he wants to go back into his own room." So again we all shifted his bed into the room that he was sleeping, the first room that where his bed was. So his bed was again shifted to the first room, and again we all shifted our beddings into the room that Baba was occupying the third time. So like that it went on till 2 o'clock or 3 o'clock in the night. I mean, I just said within 2 minutes that we were shifting, but naturally we went on shifting from one room to the other and second to the third, and like a merry-go-round. But Baba was very, very restless, and after 2 or 3 o'clock, I don't exactly remember the time, Baba went to bed. Then we all caught up at 6 o'clock in the morning, and we were at the breakfast table, and I saw Baba very drawn, weak, and his face was very tired. Very, very tired face. And then Baba uttered these words. By the way, I forgot one important thing. It was Easter time. It was Thursday night that we were in that apartment in Bandra. And on Friday morning was the Good Friday. That's very important. And Baba uttered these words. He said, "Tonight I pass the night of crucifixion. I have never passed such a bad night in my whole life. Naturally, when he was very restless, and then he somehow didn't like to stay in that apartment. You see, we rented that apartment for a month because nobody would give it for a few days. Baba wanted to stay in that apartment for at least 4 to 5 days. But then, it seems that his work was done in that apartment. And then he said, come on, let's go back. And then we all went back to our apartment.
Did you get any other glimpse of Baba's suffering during that night?
You see, the suffering, when he's restless and when he's suffering, it shows on his face. It shows on his face, especially when he is with the intimate ones. Because when he is with the intimate ones, he's relaxed. And he wants to be his natural self. Therefore, when he's suffering, or when he's restless, or when he's in a depressed mood, it does show on his face. Not only it shows on his face, but it also shows, the restlessness also shows in his ways, in his movements. Like, I'm very restless, I can't get my sleep in this room, please shift me somewhere else. And it shows. So when we went back again to our apartment, again after 2 days, he said that he wanted to relax and he wanted another very quiet place. Very, very quiet place where there's no noise. And again everyone went out in search. Of course we women were in the apartment, but men had to run about. And they were searching and searching. And of course because, you see, Baba wanted another place, therefore others also were able to find. Otherwise it's simply impossible to get a quiet place within a few days. It's alright if one were to have 1 or 2 months in hand to find a place. So a very quiet place, 35 miles out of Bombay town, was found. It was on the beach, Marway beach. There was a newly built 3 big room, small cottage for the nurses of a particular hospital. If nurses fell ill and if they wanted to go for recuperation, then this small cottage was built. And it was not occupied, it was just empty. And by sheer luck, I think it was Sarosh, I don't remember, I think it was Sarosh, was able to find that place. And of course we shifted there. It was a long beach, a lonely beach. And at the end of that beach was a fishing village where only fisher folks lived. So we all shifted there, and Baba was really in a very relaxed mood. We went swimming. We women went swimming, and Baba used to love walks. Oh, how he used to love walking. So he used to walk alone on the beach, right from one end to the other. And it was such a beautiful sight. I can never forget. So beautiful. He used to go for walks in the morning, in the evening. And in the evening, there used to be sunsets.